The Shadow Among the Trees. Chapter 1, The Forbidden Woods. The town of Black Hollow had one unspoken rule: never enter the Duskwood Forest after sunset. For centuries, people whispered tales of a shadowy figure that roamed between the trees. Those who wandered too far were never seen again. Daniel Carter, a skeptic and photographer, had just moved into town. He had no interest in ghost stories, only in capturing the beauty of the untouched forest. One evening, he grabbed his camera and flashlight, ignoring the warnings, and stepped past the old iron gate leading into the woods. The sun dipped below the horizon. The trees closed in around him. Chapter 2, A Presence in the Dark. The deeper Daniel walked, the more the forest changed. The trees weren't just tall, they were watching. Their bark was twisted, their knots shaped like empty eyes. The silence was unnatural. No wind, no animals, only the sound of his boots crunching on dry leaves. Then, a whisper. Not from behind him. From everywhere. He swung his flashlight around. Nothing. Daniel shook his head. It's just my imagination. But then, in the corner of his eye, he saw it, a shadow moving between the trees. Chapter 3, The Photograph. His instincts screamed at him to run, but his curiosity kept him frozen. Slowly, he raised his camera and snapped a photo. Click. The camera's flash illuminated the trees for a split second, and in that moment, he saw something standing behind a tree. A tall, slender figure with hollow, glowing eyes. His breath caught in his throat. When the flash faded, it was gone. But the whispers grew louder. Leave, leave, leave. Daniel turned and ran. Chapter 4, The Vanishing Path. Branches clawed at his arms. The roots seemed to shift beneath his feet. He glanced at his camera. The photo was too dark to see anything. A gut-wrenching realization struck him: the path was gone. His flashlight flickered, the batteries were dying. Then, he heard it. A soft breathing, right behind him. He spun around, but there was nothing. His heart pounded as he kept walking, desperately searching for a way out, but every turn led him deeper into the woods. Chapter 5, The Shadow's Warning. The whispers changed. They were no longer just mindless murmurs. Now, they were speaking his name. Daniel. Daniel. The shadow appeared again, just ahead of him, motionless, staring. But this time, he could see it clearly. Its body was not human, it was made of darkness itself, shifting like black smoke. Its eyes were empty holes, absorbing all light. Then it spoke. You should not be here. Daniel felt his legs weaken. He could barely breathe. They will not let you leave. His voice trembled. Who are they? The shadow didn't answer. Instead, it lifted an arm, pointing behind him. Daniel turned and saw hundreds of glowing eyes staring at him from the trees. Chapter 6, Escape or Trapped? A sharp pain shot through Daniel's head as the whispers screamed all at once. Run! He bolted. His camera bounced against his chest. His lungs burned, the trees around him blurred, the forest twisting into an endless maze. Then a light. Up ahead, the faint glow of a street lamp, the entrance. Summoning every ounce of strength, he sprinted toward it. The whispers turned into shrieks, the shadows closing in. Just as he reached the iron gate, a cold hand grabbed his shoulder. Daniel let out a scream and everything went black. Chapter 7, The Aftermath. Daniel woke up on the side of the road, just outside the forest. His camera was still around his neck, but the screen was cracked. His clothes were torn, his arms covered in scratches. The sun was rising. Had it been a dream? Shaking, he turned on the camera and scrolled through the photos. Most were blurry, nothing unusual. But then, the last photo. His hands trembled as he stared at the image. It wasn't just the shadowy figure. Standing all around him, hidden in the darkness, were hundreds of figures, watching him. And beneath the photo, the timestamp read, 4:04 a.m., you are still here. Epilogue, the shadow never leaves. Daniel left Black Hollow that same day. But no matter where he went, he felt watched. Sometimes, in the middle of the night, he heard the whispers outside his window. One evening, he woke up to find his camera turned on, the screen flashing. There was a new photo. It showed his bedroom. And in the corner of the image, a shadow stood by his closet watching. And then, the whisper came again. You never left the forest. Moral of the story: some places never let go. and some shadows follow you forever.